A WWE Tag Team Champion has been injured and the titles have been vacated. There was a big heel turn and a return on last night's Raw, and an interesting name was backstage at last night's Raw. Find out who it was in a little tickle. Fraser Porter, the Women's Tag Team Championships are cursed.
Yeah, they are. It's not had good luck at all, at least in the past since its inception, really.
The past 4 years.
Yeah, the past 4 years. And it looks like that bad luck is continuing even more. And I really hope it might they just need to keep them away for a wee while because those titles have unfortunately injured another person. Sonya
the titles have injured another person.
Yeah, it's the titles.
They attacked them with a steel pipe.
It is the title's fault.
Yeah, but TMZ initially reported that one half of the Women's Tag Team Champion, Sonya Deville, suffered a torn ACL, which is obviously in the old knee. Sounds like a horrible, horrible injury. Apparently, according to these notes in front of us here, an ACL generally takes about 6 to 9 months to recover. So obviously, we're wishing Sonya Deville all the best in her recovery. She posted a video to social media, though, didn't she, Fraser?
She did indeed, saying, I've torn my left ACL last week on SmackDown in my match against Bianca and Charlotte, and obviously I'll be out for an extended period of time due to the fact I have to get surgery tomorrow. Obviously, you guys all know that I've been working the last 8+ years in the WWE and in my wrestling career to obtain a title of some sort, and I've finally got my hands on the Women's Tag Team titles with Chelsea, and I think we've been champs for 20-something days. So obviously, it's super bitter to say that it's come to an end due to an injury, especially being that it's my first injury in wrestling, or really in sports in general, and it's her first title after 8 years, and it's ended after 20 days due to injury, which sucks.
It's heartbreaking as well because in terms of the Women's Tag Team titles, putting them on the Karens, it seemed like a match made in heaven, and having a babyface tag team run after the Karens, the Karens moaning about the circumstances they're working in and stuff like that. And unfortunately, we're not going to get to see that over the next little while. We might get there eventually, of course. But in an update, Mike Johnson from PW Insider has said that we are told there is already a plan in place for the Women's Tag Team titles following Sonya's injury. There's been a lot of sympathy for Deville. Sympathy for the Deville,
yeah.
As she's very highly rated and regarded within the company. What do you reckon those plans are? They've been vacated, obviously. So is it just going to be a tournament?
I think it's probably going to be a tournament. I kind of hope Chelsea stays in the mix with it because it would be a real shame if because of Sonya's injury, she then misses out on a title run that she's worked for 8 years for. Yeah. You know, they were both on Tough Enough together, and they've got to that point, and it would suck if that is the end of it for her. It feels really tough to say what could be the plans going forward because there's no obvious tag teams. Like, we're really struggling in the women's tag division at the moment.
You've got the Cowie Girls.
Yep.
You've got the Witches on SmackDown.
The Witches on SmackDown.
They're on SmackDown, though.
Yeah, but the tag teams, the titles can roam.
Yeah, I guess they can roam
a little bit.
Have to roam now,
it's going to have to really struggling.
But I don't know, it's something that's missed off all these reports we've got in front of us here is the fact that they have been doing the Freebird rule, the Karens, with a certain Matt Cardona, who wore a replica version of the titles in an indie show. I forget where it was now. Was it down in Mexico?
It was in DDT. It was in DDT over in Japan. So he appeared, with the replica women's tag team titles. Just bring him in. I've been wanting a Matt Cardona run in WWE for a while now.
There's a Sonya-shaped hole, and it's filled by Matt Cardona. It writes itself. Anyway, back on last night's Raw, there was a massive heel turn. We saw a main event where some baby faces took on some dirty heels. Then at the end of the match, after the baby faces won, the baby faces being Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, and a Shinsuke Nakamura, who has been slowly turning heel off the back of the Bronson Reed and Ricochet feud. He was getting sick of people getting involved in his business, and now it seems that he's just finally fed up with everything in the world. Indeed.
Well, we saw him actually face that big Bronson Reed once again on last night's Raw. That match has been run back so many times. But in the main event, he attacked Seth Rollins straight after the match with a Kinshasa. I'm excited to see where this goes. It looks like, obviously, that it's a shame that Finn wouldn't get a run with the title. I was kind of hoping that was going to take place at SummerSlam. But Shinsuke Nakamura is the next challenger. They're going to have some really, really good matches. Oh,
big time. And especially when it comes to Nakamura as a heel in WWE, I'm looking forward to seeing it where his focal point or his focus is not another man's tallywacker. Do you remember the feud of 2018 against AJ Styles where he just loved hoofing him in the tallywacker?
You say that, and then I really hope they don't just run that back now, because then, you never know. They might do that. They did it with Miz. And
he's little
tallywacker, exactly. So it's exciting to see Nakamura will finally get used properly for the first time in a few years now.
Yeah, I'm looking forward. Just the mannerisms and everything. We know what Nakamura's like as a babyface from his time in Japan. He's a heel from his time in Japan and whatnot. So yeah,
and it keeps Cody away from the title a little bit.
What's he gonna do? Fraser, tell me now, because it's not very clear as we're sat here, is it?
He's just going to be a cool guy coming out and getting big pops. That's going to be it. That's going to be what he does.
Hugging the babies, taking the presidential pictures. That's Cody Rhodes for the time being. There was a big return on last night's Raw as well. Who was it? Fraser.
Kofi Kingston's back. The New Day returned last night, taking on the Viking Raiders. Kofi's been out with an injury for the past few months now. It was an ankle injury, I believe. He had surgery for it. And then Xavier Woods also been off TV and part of that. I'm excited to see what they do back. Again, the tag division, it feels kind of like, for me, it feels like a little bit of a rebuilding phase after the Usos. It's not had the same attention. Having the New Day back might bring the ice to it.
Yeah, big time. The Viking Raiders were offering a big open challenge on last night's Raw, and they just walked out there.
New Day.
Michael Cole was orgasmic on commentary, as he always is, for a big return. They made their day, I should say, as a pair and a debut on last night's Raw as well. Michael Cole and Wade Barrett. Wade called it the flagship show, which I thought was interesting.
Admittedly, when I heard the music though, straight after the reports that Big E was, he was at SummerSlam going, I might not be able to wrestle again, which we covered at the weekend. I was really hoping that was going to be part of the swerve, and now he comes, but unfortunately he was not with the New Day. But it's still Kofi and Xavier.
Yeah, Xavier got the pinfall win over Ivar, I think it was in the end there. There was a big, a couple of names backstage at last night's Raw in the producer role. Bobby Roode was in the area for SummerSlam. Apparently we saw those reports over the weekend there. He was backstage at last night's Raw, according to PW Insider, as was Nick Aldis, who is someone who has been sort of mooted about in the press and whatnot for a little while now, going to get a job as a producer for WWE. Not an on-screen talent, even though he's younger than most of the main event roster. He's going to be a producer.
It's baffling, right? I think we were speculating on the podcast the other week that potentially Nick Aldis could come in as a producer at first. If this hiring freeze that's been going on is a thing, and they can go, well, we can bring you in as a producer, and then we'll maybe translate you over to in-ring. That could be the way to go. He's 36 years old. As you said, he's younger than most of the current crop of talent that they're up and comers.
And I'm not saying he should be in the main event picture for any stretch of the imagination, but I do think there's a role for a curmudgeon in the mid card of Monday Night Raw or something like that.
And he seems like someone exactly who Triple H would love. He's got that old throwback style, kind of Cody Rhodes-esque, kind of Triple H-esque. It feels a misfire having him as just a producer, but we've seen how good some people are as producers. Maybe he'll be the next, I don't know, Jason Jordan, the next Tyson Kidd.
Abyss.
The next Abyss.
Abyss has been put together, apparently. I saw this over the weekend. He put together the triple threat match for the IC title at WrestleMania and was in charge of Gunther versus Drew at SummerSlam. So good. If you want a match produced and you want to be hurt in the process, get Abyss involved. There's no way you can't be hurting after those title matches.
You see your match on the sheet and then Abyss's name next to it. You know you're in for a thumping.
But again, I guess in terms of being a producer as well for Nick Aldis, it's a different viewpoint, a different sort of, what am I looking for, style of professional wrestler, which is always helpful.
And it's same with Bobby Roode. It's interesting that he's been out injured for so long. I mean, potentially this is the best role going forward to him as he phases out the end of his own career. I think he's 46, so it is getting to the tail end of his career.
Do you just know every wrestler's age off the top of your head?
Yeah, it's a little thing I've got. There you go. But I'm excited to see what he does as a producer. We'll see. Maybe hopefully he'll be good at it.
Yeah, big time. And then we have a final report from PW Insider as to why a huge superstar missed Monday Night Raw last night. The superstar in question was Drew McIntyre, and because I know nothing about the films, I'll just let Fraser talk about it now.
Well, but as you said, PW Insider saying Drew McIntyre was not at Raw. He's off filming a movie with Dave Bautista in Hungary. The film is called The Killer's Game. It's about a hitman who has been given a terminal illness diagnosis, so he takes a hit out on himself, and then he realizes he's been misdiagnosed, so he's got to escape all the people that are trying to come and kill him. Drew plays a character called Rory McKenzie, who has, I'm assuming, a brother, Angus McKenzie, who's played by Scott Adkins. I'm not sure how big this role is for Drew, but it feels it's going to be an action comedy, and I think they're trying to take inspiration from John Wick with a sort of like quick, fast-paced hitman style stuff. But I know a lot of people, if you watch film, will know there's a big strike going on. They've got a special permission, so they're not scabbing.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, they're not scabbing.
I tell you what though, Rory McKenzie sounds one thing to me.
It's the Highlanders, right?
Scottish, yeah.
Scottish, yeah. Was that not one of the Highlanders?
Yeah, it was Rory and the hairy one.
Yeah, that's the other one. But it's Drew's film debut, I believe. I think this is the first film he will be in, so we'll see how he does acting.
He's a charismatic big man, isn't he?
He is. He's tall and scary, and I think that's what they need, and it'll be an authentic Scottish accent. You don't get that in films.
No, do you not?
No, see, have you seen Uncharted?
No.
They have a Scottish character, and he's just like, all right, laddie. And it's so inauthentic.
There
so
we go.
Drew, Use your actual accent.
Use your actual accent. Videos on the channel yesterday. All the SummerSlam coverage is there for you to watch with your own eyes. And also yesterday, I did a deep dive trying to make sense of that ending to SummerSlam, putting my GCSE in media studies to good use there.
Yep.
So watch that, please. More content coming in the very near future. I've been Ross, joined by Fraser, and we'll see you later today for video 2. Watch that one as well.